Dustin, how did you find carnivore?
That's a great question. It was a long, convoluted journey. As I started low carb, or what we knew to be low carb, or what we were trying to understand what low carb was in 2016, kind of right as like the whole keto craze was really kicking off. I was going in for surgery to have an umbilical hernia taken care of. I was trying to go in and have a lot of things done with my health. I was going in for a sleep study to get a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, and had gone into the doctor and stepped on the scale for the first time in I don't know how long. And it said I was 421 pounds. And one of the things, regardless of how big you're getting, whether it's the clothes you're always buying bigger clothes, you're buying bigger pants, bigger shirts, whatever the case is, you're never quite prepared for that moment that changes the outlook or changes how you look at yourself. And I mean, it's no surprise you're getting to the 400-pound mark. You're big. Getting heavy, getting overweight, getting to be obese is easy. Living with it is not, right? And so you're making accommodations all the time. And finally kind of having that confirmation and stepping on the scale at over 420 pounds hit you like a ton of bricks. Even with all of the things that I mentioned, you're big. And so I called my wife and I said, hey, doing this, because I mean, she knows I'm going to the doctor and all that stuff, but I'm like, hey, I stepped on the scale, I'm 421 pounds. What are we going to do? And she is an RN. And at the time she worked in the unit where she would deal with the people having issues with their gastric bypass, their RNYs, all those things. They're coming back in years later with complications. So she was saying to me, we're not going to do that right off the bat. That'd be a last ditch effort because I've seen too many scary things coming back into the hospital. So we decided to try low carb. Let's give this low carb thing a try. And long story short, with low carb, we had no idea what low carb really meant. So we're going to the grocery store. We're looking at quinoa. We're looking at oats. We're looking at raisins and cups of fruit and wondering why are carbohydrates so high on all this food that's supposed to be healthy for us. It's mind-boggling. You're told this is what you're supposed to eat. This is healthy. This is rice. This is all the things that you're supposed to eat to be healthy, and it's all loaded with carbohydrates. So we're trying to navigate that. And then I was looking for recipes, and I kept coming back to this website that was for children with epilepsy. So it was a ketogenic recipe website before there was thousands. And I kept finding it. And then I had gone to the doctor for a follow-up and getting in line for the surgery and all that. And the doctor said, if you really want to lose weight, you just got to be in ketosis. So he didn't really elaborate on that, whether or not he meant to elaborate or he couldn't elaborate, whatever the case was. He was an older doctor. He's not in practice anymore. But he said that along with finding the ketogenic recipes, not really knowing what that meant. So I did a deep dive, me being me. And it was right around the time I was really getting into podcasts. They were really hitting hard. YouTube wasn't quite on my radar that, I was driving a lot for work. So I found the two keto dudes, binged them, loved them, talked to the wife. Let's try this keto thing. And we did that for years. Weight came off of me. I lost about 150 pounds, give or take, went from about with the 421. That's the one documented high that I have. I'm sure that there was times where I was heavier, and got down to my last documented low was about 273. And that was right before the pandemic. And realistically, how I found carnivore was, which is a long-winded roundabout way to get to answering your question, but how I found it was just simplification of what we're doing. And you see the changes in what people talk about, how people are living. You see changes in the landscape. YouTube becomes a thing. You're starting to follow people like Dr. Barry, Sean Baker. Sean Baker goes on Joe Rogan, and so carnivore really starts to rise to the forefront. So you're like, I mean, that's already kind of what we're doing anyway. Meat, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, these things are kind of what we're doing anyway. And so, I mean, that's really kind of how we got there. Now, we're not what you would consider, I guess, full-time carnivores. I mean, primarily that's what we eat. That's what we like. But I mean, we still eat some broccoli. We still have some Brussels sprouts from time to time. I like onions sometimes. We're not, I wouldn't say, we're just not, I don't know. It's hard. We just don't put a label on it. But I mean, it's really what we are for the most part.
Right, right. And I mean, when you started eating this way, when you moved from keto to a more carnivore approach, did anything change for you as far as did you go, "Oh, I feel even better than I did before," or was it more just a thing about, well, this is just simpler?
There were so many major changes that happened to me from the time that we started keto going in through to that shift for, with carnivore being simplistic for us, that I had gone through the mental clarity aspect of it, the the food noise getting better. Even I didn't really have a terminology for it. I just knew that I was a person that had a food addiction issue. And I didn't even really truly understand that until maybe a year or two ago. I didn't really truly understand the impact where, I would be upset about something even years into this and look across the street and see a McDonald's and go, oh, man, I'm in a really bad mood, but I could just go to that McDonald's and I can get some nuggets and some French fries and I can go home and I can just eat about it. You know what I mean? Like be upset about it and eat my feelings. And it was one of those things that I hadn't necessarily thought about in a long time. And it is a testament to how long that type of, I don't know what to call it, trauma or whatever you want to call it, what word you would put there, but how long it holds on to you. It never really goes all the way away, right? Because we're dealing with food here. We can't just walk away from food. We have to eat, whether it's meat or eggs or vegetables or whatever you choose, however you choose to live, that whatever lifestyle that suits you best, there's food involved. You can't just walk away from food. Now you can do the best. You can walk away from spices and onions and fruits and everything except beef, salt, and water. Or some people are even like, I don't even put salt in my beef anymore. I'm like, okay. But I mean, there's just so many things, but you can never fully walk away from food. You have to eat no matter what. And that's kind of one of those, it's one of those things that sets this type of, it's a conundrum because is an addiction because we have to eat. We can't just completely go, you know what, I'm done with food. I mean, you can go for a few weeks, but you can't just be done with it. So it's not like smoking cigarettes, because I gave up smoking cigarettes in 2010. But I wouldn't lie that I don't smell a cigarette every once in a while and go, that smells kind of good. Sometimes it smells awful, but sometimes, and I mean, whatever vices you may have in your life, there's rose-colored glasses you think back on things with, whether it's smoking cigarettes or going out and drinking with your buddies all the time, whatever the case is, there's always kind of that. There's always a positive, no matter how much negative there may be with it. I didn't like how I felt when I smoked cigarettes.
Yeah,
I didn't like the money I paid to smoke cigarettes.
we're very good at romanticizing things, yeah.
Oh, 100%. We romanticize the crap out of everything on a daily basis. So whether it's that whiff of cigarette, whether it's that smell of French fries or whatever it is, it's so hard, if not impossible, to ever truly get away from it. And we do the best we can. And I do like the simplistic nature of carnivore and, or, whatever, wherever I land on that kind of that proper human lifestyle, the diet spectrum that I look at things to be, it's the ultimate goal for me is really just to live as simply as I can when it comes to food, because I kind of want food to finally not be something that's always kind of lurking at the gate, if you will. I want it to just be, okay, I'm going to get up today. I've got this work to do. I'm going to do this with the wife. We're going to do this, and I'm going to have a couple of burger patties or a steak, and then I'm going to go and do this. But it's never, oh, I wish I could have that, or I want that to go away, and I don't know if I'll ever see that day.
Yeah. So, along these lines and talking about including cigarettes in the discussion, I remember um, when I first started working back in 1992, and I was working in an office, but I was on a terribly low wage, and at that time I was a smoker, and also, carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, almost exclusive person, and I would smoke, and I would eat my donuts, or I would eat my whatever. We had a smoking room in the office at that time, and I would be sitting there with my last cigarette and knowing that I didn't get paid until tomorrow or something like that, and I'd be sitting there and I'd be having that cigarette and thinking, one of these days I'm going to be as rich as the owner of this company, and I'm just going to be able to buy an unlimited amount of cigarettes or an unlimited amount of donuts, and I'm not going to have to worry anymore. And I'm like, that was crazy that I had at that age, I had that kind of thinking, because it's never enough. It is never enough. You're always going to be wanting more, and you've always got that thing in your head that's going, I just want that thing, you know? And it's nice to be able to get to the point where you can at least get most of it out of your system, right?
Yeah.
Mm. Um, so you talked before, and like your journey started in 2016, and part of that was you were going for a sleep study and so forth. Have issues like needing a CPAP machine and that kind of thing, has that resolved or lessened?
Um, so I want to say that coming to terms with needing a machine, a CPAP machine, and being on a machine, because now, full transparency, I haven't used it in a while, because you kind of get to that point where you kind of feel like you don't need it anymore. And if, I don't know, some of you probably out there who are on these machines, you've kind of gone to that point, and I'm back to the point where I should pull it back out again, plug it in, and sleep with it every night. And I should do that. And that is on my plans to do. But because when I first started, it gives you that night's sleep that you haven't had in so very long. You don't wake up in the middle of the night like choking and gagging on your own leg, you're whatever it is, right? You're choking and gagging. You're trying to catch your breath. And because when I did the sleep study, they said that I had stopped breathing like 70 times an hour, that's like a stroke waiting to happen, right? So, I know better, and I should, because sleep impacts cortisol. Cortisol impacts weight. I'm primarily, most of the time, primarily carnivore, but yet I've gained weight for the past, I don't know how many years. Starting in the pandemic, really, I think probably stopped using the CPAP machine because I don't need it anymore. You tell yourself these things. I told myself that. And, I have a discussion almost nightly basis with my wife. I should probably pull that out. Yeah, you really should. Her being a nurse. She's like, I don't want to wake up next to you dead. And, and, it is a testament to how difficult something, regardless of how what and how you impacts you, but you still don't do it. It is weird how humans are like that. because I know I should sleep with that CPAP every night, but I don't.
Yeah, but is that one of these things like I've had things that I have to do medically, like whether it's taking particular meds or whatever over my life because I had a medical thing back when I was younger. Um, and you kind of feel like, why should I have to do this? You kind of resent maybe it's not even a conscious thought, but it's a subconscious thing. Like, I hate being attached to this thing. I just want to be like, I just want to be able to go to bed, or I just want to be able to do the thing without having to do the procedure first. Is it a bit like that?
There's definitely a section of that, but there's also little things about it. There's like little annoying things, like no matter how well you clean it, no matter how well you take care of it, little things that'll like irritate your nose, and you've always kind of got this like this band around, and it kind of rubs you, and it's just kind of drives you nuts. So no matter how well fitting it is, no matter how comfortable it is, it's like going to bed with your shoes on. Yeah, you're going to sleep okay, but you're not going to be comfortable because you got your shoes on, or trying to go to bed with your belt on. You know what I mean? It's it becomes a very much of an annoyance. Like it doesn't bother you for a long time, but once it kind of starts to really bother you, it's hard to get out of your head. Like, and I've tried, tried different forms. Like this one just goes over my nose and my mouth, or this one's a big thing. This one comes from this way. This one comes around this way. And you try different things, and it's just like it just rubs your nose, or it goes around this way and comes back around. It's just, and I know that's such a excuse, like first world issue thing. I know, because I know how much better I sleep with it. But then I know also, like, I would wake up and I had taken it off of my sleep because it was so irritating to me.
Can you talk a little bit about what was it that made you start your channel, Keto Simple, and what are you what's your main aim through the channel?
Well, I started the channel. The first video that I had went up in 2020, like February of 2020. I had no idea how to edit. I had no idea how to do anything. I just turned my phone on, plugged in a microphone, made the video. My buddy said, "Hey, I'll edit it for you." So I sent the video off to him. He edited it. He put it up for me, did the thumbnail, and it just kind of sit there for a year. And right towards the end of 2020, I was let go from my job. And so I was like, okay. I walked downstairs. I've been let go from my job that day because I was working from home. Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I sit down on the couch with my wife, who was there with our granddaughter. And I'm like, lost my job. And I'm like, what are we going to do? She goes, well, how about you just right now focus on taking care of the granddaughter? I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I also was like, I've got this YouTube channel. Let me go ahead and put some effort into that too. She said, okay. So really it started with that. I didn't really have an overarching goal, but just make videos, whether they were informational, a lot of recipes, talking about stuff. I talked about fasting is when I really started, kicked off January 1st of 2021. I started off with a 21-day fast. And if you go back and look, it's in a playlist. You can see it. It's not very good because I didn't know what I was just kind of talking, but I wasn't really providing a lot of information. I think I've gotten better with that now. But really my goal is just to be another voice, because kind of like what you do is you showcase all these voices that may not get heard. And so I want to put my voice out there in hopes that maybe somebody who is struggling the way that I've struggled, whether it's with sleep apnea or with the extreme obesity, being a guy with food addiction issues and all the things, then they feel helpless, hopeless, and they feel like nobody understands them. And maybe they find my channel and maybe they go, okay, somebody has been through what I've been through, because that's so powerful to find a person that knows even just a little bit of what we're going through, and to be able to commiserate and build a little bit of a community, have a thing to talk about to help get through that. Because, even if you're married or you have, siblings or cousins, if they don't suffer from what you've suffered with, they can tell you all the platitudes and, oh, you're going to get through it, but they don't know. That's like those conversations you have with your work friends, because they work with you, they know. And just hopefully getting that out there and hopefully being a beacon to people, because I know how lonely it can be.
So I think community is a really important part of this, especially, you know, when you talk about like the time you were laid off and around that time, everyone was so isolated, and every when you're isolated, when you don't have community around you, it makes everything 100 times worse, and everything you're going through it's exacerbated. But regarding the community, do you find that it works kind of both ways? Like you are there to be a motivation to the people that are watching your channel, but also when you do live streams, when you're actually interacting with the people, do you find it's also motivating for yourself to kind of keep you on track and that kind of thing?
Oh, 100%. Just that moment you click start on that live stream, or you pull it up and you see there's 10 people, 13 people, 20 people waiting for you to go live. There's a feeling right there that, you found people, you found your group, you found them. They're waiting to talk. They're waiting to, to hang out. They're there for you. And it helps me. It helps keep me coming back. It keeps me honest. It keeps me humble. Uh because I can't lie that if that there isn't something selfish for me with this community, that I get probably way more out of this community than they get out of me. I'm only one person, but I have a live, and then by the end of the live, maybe 100 people have been through and commented or watched or viewed or just lurked or listened while they're working or whatever. That's 100 people that I'm getting something from, but I'm only one person giving back. So it is a selfish endeavor to me in that aspect, because it really does mean a lot to me, because I have to show up, whether it's Sunday or two, because I do two a week. Like this Sunday coming up, um, I got the news that we're getting a new roof on our house, and they're going to do it Sunday morning. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do for my life? I'm like, we gotta reschedule the. I'm like, we can't reschedule the roof. We have to get it. We have the weather's just right. You know what I mean? Like, but that goes through your head. Like my live, I have to be there for my live. That's really what happens. Like, I get up on a Sunday morning and I go live at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, and that's early. But people show up from. I have a lady that comes in from South Africa, a lady that comes in from Australia. People come in from California. They're 3 hours earlier. I can't. It's it's so hard to put into words how much that means. That people from around the world are watching. I'm sitting here talking with you, and you live in Japan. That's just mind-boggling to me, and it's so amazing that we're all here and we're all in this together. Whether we see eye to eye on everything, because we're never going to do that. There's never going to be, whatever the case is, we're all going to be kind of on our own path, and I love that, because it's going to take all of us to truly make an impact in the damage that's been done in the last 200 years. But it's
Well,
just, yeah.
speaking of the last 200 years, do you what do you think the future's gonna look like? You know, so basically the last 200 years, we've just been going downhill, 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 you know, and the whole time, uh, the medical community, the food manufacturers, everything, you know, they're all telling us, "Oh, no, you're doing really well, just eat less saturated fat and, you know, make sure you have a balanced diet." But obviously, this doesn't work. Do you think the brakes are gonna be applied at some point more generally and things are gonna improve, or do you think it's just gonna keep getting worse?
There are days where I think it's only going to get worse, and then there are days where I think we've got this. I think we're gonna pull all this nosedive, and we're gonna be okay. But I honestly think it's kind of in the middle. I think we have to continue doing the work. We have to continue making this content, going live, making these recordings, doing whatever our individual videos, our shorts, whatever we're doing, we have to continue to do it. And we have to remember the information that we're sharing with all of the people out there. We have to understand that most of them are looking to what we have to say from a perspective that thinks we are, and I don't mean this in a negative way from our group, but we're nut jobs. We're telling people to eat high saturated fat. Don't worry about the butter. Eat the butter, eat the steak, have the bacon, you know, pull back on the vegetables if you're having issues, pull back on the fruit if you're having issues. You know, don't eat the macaroni and cheese. Stay away from the middle of the grocery store. We're saying things that if you're in the uninitiated sounds completely bonkers. So we have to remember when we are going out and we're talking and we all have our own perspectives that we, regardless of what my perspective is, regardless of what your perspective is, we have to remember that we didn't get to where we are overnight. We didn't get to be into whatever it is that we're into. We didn't get to where we are. We had weeks, months, years of little bits and pieces of knowledge being collected along the way to get us here. So there's not going to be one magic thing that we can say to family, friends, strangers, people who happen to pick up on this, in passing, that is going to truly change them right off the bat. But what we can do, hopefully, is plant a seed, be of sound body, sound mind, and sound reasonable, so that people will hear what we have to say, compare it against what the mainstream media has to say, and make them go, okay, all right, I see what they're saying there. And I mean, because you know how kind of nuts it can be. We have people out there who are on live streams eating raw steaks and saying you don't need to drink water every day, or whatever the case is, right? All these weird things that we see. Now, I mean, if you're a person and you are struggling with a standard American diet and you can't not have Oreos every day, and you come on to see what this person has to say, and they're like, yeah, you don't even need to cook your meat. Now, they didn't get there overnight. They didn't get to that day one. They're umpteen years into this, and they're finding out and fine-tuning for themselves. But we got to remember that people who are just tuning in, they're going to be like, what? And they might just tune right back out. So I think we have to be mindful of that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you were talking to someone that had, let's say they were in a similar position to where you were, they're maybe 400 pounds. They're feeling pretty depressed about everything. They don't really know where to go. The doctor's just shouting at them, eat less and move more, that kind of thing. What advice would you give them, or what direction would you point them in, just to take those first few steps?
Oh yeah. Um, when I first started, someone would come to me and go, "Hey, what are you doing? I see you're losing all this weight. What are you doing?" And I would just info dump on them. just whether it's a text message, an email, whatever, just give them it all in one lump sum and go here. And then you're like, I'm okay. I'm not doing that because it's so much. So I think my strategy, the way that I look at this has changed. It's, you're in a situation like I was, you're over 400 pounds. There's diabetes, there's morbid obesity, there's high blood pressure, there's probably there's some heart disease maybe in there, who knows what all is going on. You're not moving. You can't move. You can't just start jumping in and going to the gym every day. There's all these things you can't do. But what do you focus on? You focus on small achievements. Like goal stacking. Whether it's okay, I'm going to only have half of what I would normally eat in a day, but I'm going to substitute the other half with some burger patties, some eggs, some bacon. Not everybody's going to be able to go cold turkey and just go, I'm just going to eat steak, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs or whatever. Not everybody can do that. Some people can. Some people need to, start working on their sleep. They've got to, what like 3 to 5 little things could they start to incorporate in their daily lives over time to truly start stacking up and making major differences? And I think we have to have grace for all the people that are starting, that are coming in, and they're going to get things wrong. They're going to have questions that seem just ridiculous to us by our standards. They're going to look, I found these tortillas. What do you guys think about these? And how we respond to that really is important too. We got to say, hey, that might be good in the interim, because when I first started, I was doing net carbs because net carbs is what we were told, net carbs. And then I remember hearing about total carbs and thinking that was bonkers. What do you mean? Now I can't even barely eat broccoli now. What are you talking about? There's too many carbs in the broccoli. How can I eat broccoli if I'm going total carbs? Because, 3 stalks of broccoli and I'm like 30 carbs for the day. That's crazy. I can't do that. I'm not ready for that. It's really what it comes down to. Are you ready? You have to kind of get yourself to a place where you're comfortable and you're like, okay, what can I do next? What can I chip away at next? And I think we all have to just kind of be there for each other and help and have that understanding, and that maybe some kid gloves, we all didn't start yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. And there are no dumb questions. Like the important thing is that everyone's trying their best to go in the right direction, and when you're first getting started, still many people like actually talk about how they say vegetables, and then they talk about carbs as being a different thing, and it's almost like they think of carbs as being just pasta, bread, and ultra processed foods or something like that, and so yeah, I think I agree, it's very important to just kind of meet people where they are rather than go, oh, you don't know that.
Because we don't know what we don't know. Yeah, because we don't know what we don't know until, even, and it takes time. It takes time to kind of come to terms with things like, okay, I still even come to that. Like sometimes I'm like, well, I've given up cigarettes, and I've given up drinking, and I've given up, for the most part, sugar, and I don't have pasta anymore, and I don't have pizza anymore. So what else? Then people are like, well, I'm giving up coffee and caffeine. And I'm like, I draw the line. I gotta have something. It's like, well, and maybe that's me now, but I'm not going to say never. Right now I would feel like never giving up coffee is the way to go, but that doesn't, me in 5 years, I don't know. Me in 10 years, I don't know. You never quite know you next week.
Yeah, exactly. So Dustin, if people want to reach out to you, where's the best place to find you? Is that your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm pretty much keto simple at everything on all the platforms. The only difference is if you are on TikTok, which I don't really too much there, but it's Keto Simple _. I did have Keto Simple, but when I had an issue with my phone, that it wouldn't let me log back in anymore. So I had to create a new account. But ketosimple.shop and is kind of my domain. And then Keto Simple on one word on YouTube and Twitter and all that stuff.
Awesome. I'll link to all of those in the show notes. Dustin, thank you so much for coming back on and sharing your story and experience. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you do, Dave. You do a great service here, and I know. I hope you get the accolades you deserve because you're doing amazing.